All right, continuing in section 10.4, we're going to talk about finding the surface area of cones. We're using the same formula. Essentially, we're just replacing the letter P for perimeter of our base with C, the circumference of our base, because circles don't have a perimeter. We just call it the circumference. All right, so it's a slight nuance difference. Finding the perimeter of a polygon base is easy because you just add up the sides. Finding the circumference of a circle requires you to do 2 times pi times r. And so keep that in mind. I've got a couple examples that we can do, and we're going to keep our answers in terms of pi. So here I've got, I'm going to draw my best cone. Best I can do here. I did pretty well. And this cone has a slant height of 17. And these are feet. It's a gigantic cone. I've got a height of 15 feet and a radius of 8 feet. All right? So 8 feet is the radius, 7 feet is the slant height, that's L. And then, of course, the height is 15 feet. We can confirm that 8 squared plus 15 squared makes 17 squared. It's a Pythagorean triple. It satisfies a squared plus b squared is c squared. And we have our formula. So we're going to find that the surface area is found by taking 1/2 times the circumference times the slant height plus not 2 bases, Mr. Hibbett. There's only 1 base in a cone. And so we're going to write down this formula. Even though it doesn't include the 2 pi r and it doesn't include the pi r squared, we're going to use that formula because hopefully we know 2 pi r and hopefully we already know pi r squared. And so this is a way to make sure that we remember this formula instead of having a special formula just for cones. We're going to have a formula for cones that looks just like pyramids. All right, so it's basically one less thing to worry about. Now here, we're going to take 1/2 times 2 times pi times the radius, which they told us was 8 feet, times the slant height, which they gave us was 17 feet, plus the area of the base, which is pi times the radius squared. So once we have all of that information, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier for us to begin doing our multiplication. All right, to begin doing our multiplication. Get those numbers out, make sure that you do your multiplication there to find out that we've got the surface area is half of 16 is 8, and 8 times 17 is 136. I got 136 pi, and then I've got 64 pi, and together those add up to make 200 pi, and this again is square feet. All right, let your calculator do that work. Again, we're working in terms of pi just like we did in our first section, section 3. For our second example, and again, if I'm going too fast, pause the video. For our second example, we are going to have the slant height given to us. Again, we could, if we were given the height, we might have to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out what the slant height is, you know, whatever floats the boat. This is going to be CL, because that's what we're doing is a cylinder. So our diameter in this case, so not trying to trick you here, but the diameter is equal to 8 centimeters, and the slant height is equal to 5 centimeters. All right? The diameter is 8 centimeters, and the slant height is 5 centimeters. So, when we are finding the surface area of 1/2 CL plus B, we are going to use the information that they give us. However, they gave us that the diameter was 8, so that means that the radius is equal to 4. We have to do maybe some pausing and thinking before we proceed, and then do 2 times pi times the radius times the slant height plus the area of the base, which is pi times the radius, not the diameter, pi times the radius squared. Having all of that information, knowing where all those numbers come from, means that you're following. You get what's happening here. Half of 2 is 1, 1 times pi is pi times 4 is 4 pi, times 5 is 20 pi. This is pi times 16. And so that gives us a total of 36 pi square centimeters. All right? Not too shabby for cones.